What's up? What's up? Welcome back to the Post Run Podcast, baby. Just got done 1 hour and 10 minutes, 6.79 miles, 10:20 pace. Had 30 minutes where I was going with like a pretty decent pace, trying to keep it steady. And then the last 30 minutes when I had picked up the pace, it won't look like that on the 5th to 6th mile, because from the mile 3 to 4, I was a bit slower than that 10 minutes, but I feel good. A little bit of knee pain, got a little bit of cramping, so I grabbed 2 waters at mile 2.5, which is why that mile seems a bit slower, because I grabbed some stuff and then, well, it was a bit slower, but I grabbed some stuff and then dropped off some water and stuff in a bush. I do that because sometimes I don't like to carry it around, so I dropped it off in a bush, and when I come back around I'll pick it up. But I'm feeling good overall. I'm super excited, all done with work for the week. So, well, actually for like almost 4 or 5 days. I have Friday off, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and go back to work on Wednesday. So I'm excited to go up to New York. I'll be in the city tomorrow. Maybe do some modeling for the Big Ass Calendar. They're looking for some people, so I messaged them. I'll see if I get a response back. If not, I'll just enjoy the city with my mom, get some namanuri, maybe some carbonara, some By the Way Bakery. Shout out By the Way Bakery, who is Seth Godin's wife's bakery. They have the best amaretto cookies in the world. If you are ever in New York City, you need to do whatever you can to get those amaretto cookies, except for hurt people. Call in advance and then go and check the shops. There's multiple shops, but most amazing cookies in the world. But I'm excited. I'm excited to go up to New York. I'm excited to see the city. I'm excited to go to a wedding. Hopefully see one of my best friends. See family. Go apple picking and run up some hills, and hopefully see some fall colors. So there's nothing that I am more excited for right now than to go up to New York City. During the run, I was listening to Wes Huff talk about Christianity. I was also listening to Cliff talk about Christianity with Patrick Bet-David. Part of me wants to see if I could go and see one of his sermons, but I'm not sure if he would be speaking. He's also 2 hours away in Connecticut, so not really sure what the time that we have up there, but I'm definitely going to reach out to him. I think I already told you guys I reached out to Tim Mackey from the Bible Project and saw if I could try to get him on the podcast. Right now he's busy, but I told him I'd reach out in a few months and see if that's still the case. I'd like to bring on some of these people that I listen to and get their perspectives or their opinions on their interpretation of what the Bible says, because I do believe that God states things clearly, but people share their interpretations of it, and I think that people warp it. And I think people say there's only one thing that the Bible says, but I've heard multiple people say that about the same thing and come out with the different logic and different reasons. I do believe that the Bible says one thing, but I do believe that humanity can distort what the Bible says to try to reflect their opinion, because God does give us free will, and God allows us to say what we feel or we believe, even if it's wrong or right. And just because I believe in something, I'm realizing doesn't mean that is right, because I believed at different things at different times. But I do realize that the more that I read the Bible, I wouldn't say I'm 100% at peace right now, but I would say that it's doing things to me that I didn't think was possible. I'll just leave it at that for right now. But almost like it's taking away lust. And it's making me reflect on myself. And yeah, it's almost like taking away that feeling that I want to fap. I'll just leave it at that and not express too much, but it's taking away like lustful or greed in nature in me. I'm not saying that it's not there anymore, but I feel like, oh gosh, this doll scared me. I feel like it's taking away some of those aspects of me, and I really didn't think that was possible not that that couldn't come away from me, but people say, like, read the Bible and pray and these things will happen to you. And I've always been a person that's been like, okay, if I'm mentally ill, like, reading the Bible isn't going to take away my mental illness. And I still wouldn't claim that it's going to take away your mental illness, but I would say that it's definitely having an effect on me, and I will see where that takes me. But I still have my OCD. I say my OCD, but I still tend to be obsessive compulsive, and maybe I'll pray for that to be taken away, but that's still something that I'm dealing with and that I'm struggling with. So again, I don't want to claim that it like takes away and solves all your problems, but I will say that it's having an effect on me that I did not think was possible. And not that I didn't think that God could do that, but I just didn't think that reading the Bible specifically could do that. But the more that I'm learning is that it says God is the Word and was the Word and spoke the Word and things came to life. So in a sense, if God wrote the Bible and God is the Word and was the Word, then the best way to spend time with God is to read the Word, because He is the Word and was the Word. And if I'm reading the Word or listening to the Word, because I use the Bible Project app and I listen to it and I follow along, and to be completely honest, like sometimes I close my eyes and I listen to it, and sometimes I wake up and I go backwards, but I'm definitely more intentional. I am in the Old Testament right now, so that also raises a bunch of questions in me. But if God is the Word and was the Word, then when I read the Word, I am reading God and I'm spending time with Him. And as much as I feel like the Word could be perverted by humans, maybe the Word isn't perverted, but the interpretations of the words and the sinful nature of humans are the things that are being perverted. It's not the physical text itself that's being written, because if you watched one or two of my post-run podcasts, I was talking about how I was listening to Wes Huff and how he was talking about how people think that the Bible's been translated like telephone, that it's been translated as Jesus spoke Aramaic. It got translated to Greek because people read Greek. And then from Greek, it went to, let's say, the most modern day version of it was from Greek to German. And people think then it was translated from German to French and from French to English. But the reality was, if it was spoken Aramaic and translated to Greek, then the next translation, let's say, was German. And then let's say the next translation was French. It wasn't translated from German, from Aramaic to Greek, and then from spoken in Aramaic translated to Greek, and then translated to French, or translated to German, and then the French translation was from the German translation of the Greek that was spoken in Aramaic. It was Aramaic to Greek, and then Greek to German, and then the French went back to the Greek and translated it from Greek to French, but looked at the German context to make sure that all three of them were congruent and that they were saying the same thing. And then the English version was looked at the Greek and the Aramaic and translated from Greek, and then they looked at the German version and they looked at the French version and then made sure that the German and French version was congruent with their English translation of the Greek, and made sure that all four lined up and were saying the same thing across the languages. So it wasn't necessarily a telephone, but it was a reflection. And it was like, if I read a book and translated it to, let's say, Italian, or let's just say I read a book and wrote my interpretation of it, and then somebody read my interpretation, They didn't write an interpretation of my interpretation of the book. They read the book, wrote their interpretation in their modern time, and then looked at my time and said, okay, this is reflecting. And what the original text and what they wrote, my text also reflects the same thing. If you read all three, you should come to the same conclusion. So, I'm thinking that, of course, I want to talk to Wes Huff, and I should probably do some more research myself. But from my understanding of it, the more that I'm learning, I don't think that it was, or I'm starting to think less, rather, that the Bible has been perverted over the centuries to fit the church and the power of what people were saying, and tell people that this is bad and to demonize people this way. I don't think that it was that the Bible was written to do that. I think that the Bible was written and that the people of the time that could read it took what they read, interpreted of it, used what they best could, but also some of them took their sinful nature and their interpretation was not a great reflection of the Bible, and it caused a lot of damage. Hence, people having slaves in America and several other countries, and thinking that the Bible reflects it when it doesn't, because they've taken the wrong interpretations of reading the word instead of seeing the word for what it is. And another interesting thing that Wes Huff said was that the Bible was not written to us, but it was written for us. And I think that people could argue, well, why would God not write it to us, but he would write it for us? And I think it's because God's a smart human, and he knows we have free will, and he knows that we're intelligent, and why wouldn't we be able to interpret it and look into the historical context when we do that for almost everything else? I think that a lot of people like to distort stuff, and so I don't know. I mean, God had a tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and he left that around us, but he also gave us free will so that he's not a dictator. Anyways, it's a long thing, but just some things that I'm thinking about. I would love to have Cliff, Les Huff, and Tim Mackey on the podcast. And yeah, with that said, be who you want to become until you become who you want to be. See you guys next Post Run podcast. I might even do a special episode in New York City, even though I'm not running. So maybe I'll see you guys tomorrow.